Good evening, listeners, brave navigators of the enigmatic and the concealed. Have you ever felt the pull of the unanswered, the allure of the mysteries that shroud our existence? For more than a decade, a unique comic publisher has dared to dive into these mysteries, unafraid of the secrets they might uncover. This audacious entity is Paranoid American. Welcome to the mystifying universe of the Paranoid American podcast.
Launched in the year 2012, Paranoid American has been on a mission to decipher the encrypted secrets of our world. From the unnerving enigma of MK Ultra mind control to the clandestine assemblies of secret societies. From the awe-inspiring frontiers of forbidden technology to the arcane patterns of occult symbols in our very own pop culture. They have committed to unveiling the concealed realities that lie just beneath the surface. Join us as we navigate these intricate landscapes, decoding the hidden scripts of our society and challenging the accepted perceptions of reality.
Folks, I've got a big problem on my hands. There's a company called Paranoid American making all these funny memes and comics. Now, I'm a fair guy. I believe in free speech, as long as it doesn't cross the line. And if these AI-generated memes dare to make fun of me, they're crossing the line.
This is your expedition into the realm of the extraordinary, the secret, the shrouded. Come with us as we sift through the world's grand mysteries, question the standardized narratives, and brave the cryptic labyrinth of the concealed truth. So strap yourselves in, broaden your horizons, and steel yourselves for a voyage into the enigmatic heart of the Paranoid American podcast, where each story, every image, every revelation brings us one step closer to the elusive truth.
Yo, what up, boys and girls? This is the Paranoid American, and today we got the New York Patriot, and he's going to live in this tiny little screen down at the bottom the whole time of this interview. No, he'll be right here. So what's going on, New York Patriot? You're a founder of Occult Rejects. You've got some of the most fire content on, podcast you can listen to. Wow. I love the just like the tone, the approach, the casual style, everything, man. So I had to get you on because we've had some amazing talks on various topics on your show and elsewhere.
Every time you came on, it was a banger. Always great talks.
So, I mean, we're going to get into it today. I'm going to find a little bit more out about you. We're going to put you on the hot seat maybe a little bit.
Sounds good.
So you ready for this?
Yes.
So I want to do plugs up front and we'll do some at the end, but where can people find you? Like, where should someone go to listen to your podcast and see everything you got?
I'm on all major podcasts under the NY Patriot Show or the Occult Rejects. BitChute, Rumble, same thing. And then I do have a YouTube channel, the Occult Rejects, that has both shows and everything on there.
And the name Occult Rejects is based on, I mean, my understanding is that you joined some secret societies and then you decide to leave, or what, did they kick you out? Like what makes you an occult reject?
Yeah. Lux, believe it or not, he was the one who actually came up with the name. Pretty much.
I love the name, man. It's a great
name.
Yeah.
I really didn't even like coming up with one for the NY Patriot, and I regretted the name after I made it. But it's like too late now, and I'm okay with it now. But at that time, I was just like, you know what? If you want to pick a name, go for it. I'm not gonna like pull no dick measuring contest on this because I don't even want the job of picking the name for the show. So yeah, it's all yours. And like one day he happened to he was just like spitballing like funny ones, like spoof that like obviously we weren't going to use. And he like sent something about like the Occult Rejects. And I was like, yeah, that's actually like a good idea. And he was like, you think so? I was like, yeah. He's like, actually, yeah, I do too. So we ended up keeping it, but like it fit because I guess kind of like when he left, I mean, technically, we both left our orders. If he was in one, I left, but then did get kicked out. But that was after we had already started the show. But like, basically, it was more of like, yeah, we're kind of rejects. We didn't fit in where we were. We also, Lux also liked it because of saying that like we reject like the agenda that's being put on us as well. We reject the magic and the mindfuck that's being used on us. So it was also like multi-layered, but like I thought it was good enough to where I was like, I could see that meaning so many different things. That's a kind of a cool name, like a very broad and You can, just like occultism, you make 7 meanings out of that. You know what I'm saying? So I was kind of okay with it. So, and it was really easy, and I thought it sounded cool. So that's basically sums it up. But I'm pretty sure in his idea of that name, us being part of secret societies and leaving, and not thinking that we really fit in was part of it.
And when you say that you got kicked out after the show, was it because of the show, or was it like you just stopped
Well,
paying dues, or what?
I was already owing them dues to begin with.
Yeah.
Because as soon as COVID came and they shut down, I was like, I'm not giving you money for a place I can't even go to if I wanted to. So I wasn't paying them dues anymore. And I think I had stopped like maybe a few months prior to that. What caused it really? I stopped paying the dues. Then I had asked for them in the OTO. I don't know how it is in other secret societies, but like if you become a member, it's like, oh, put your name on some list forever, and you have to actually fill out a piece of paper to get it removed from that list.
Mm.
So I did all that. I sent it back, and then normally they like send you something back. It could be 2 months later or whatever.
Why go through that extra step? Like I understand, stopping paying dues and saying, if you guys are closed down, I'm not going to pay anymore. But like, why not just ignore it and walk away? What was it? Because it almost seems like now it's like you're making a point of it. Like, take my name out of your books, bitch.
Yeah, well, I wasn't going to be a member anymore, so why would my name be in there? That's all it really was.
Okay. It doesn't cost like any extra money or anything to have your name taken back out.
No, just cost
Okay.
aggravation and been time to fill out paperwork.
Mm.
So then after that, I got hit with copyright shit. Actually, I got slapped with the DMCA. And the funny thing is that there's a chick at my lodge that did that to Leo Zagami because he was going to put out a book with shit about the OTO in it. If you go and look through Leo Zagami's stuff, when he talks about it, he will mention her name. I'm not going to go that far, but her name is out there and everything. She's probably the one who did it to me, which is pretty funny. I look back at it now. I'm like, wow, same bitch did it to me, probably, because she is a lawyer in general. I got slapped with a DMCA slap because I was going over Minerval first and like second degree. I went over on my own podcast, and I was, you're not supposed to do that. And eventually, I got the no, my bad. I got the DMCA slap a while prior to that. I wasn't showing my face really, or on other people's shows. When I even did stuff with Lux, for the most part, he never showed his face, so we never used the cameras because I'm going to make him look like an idiot that I can show my face and he's scared. We have a magician who left a secret society, but he's scared to show his face. I feel stupid if people see that. So I left mine off. And eventually I just started turning it on more. And then eventually they were actually able to see who the person was behind the account. So then I got an email from the lodge, from the lady who was the lodge master at the time, because we even switched the lodge masters.
Is that what you call it? The lodge master?
Yeah,
the
like lodge
your worshipful master?
No, it's just a lodge master.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and she sent me an email saying that I was going to be put on probation and that I was like kind of like not allowed to come, and I had to because they had realized that I was doing podcasts and putting out stuff that I wasn't supposed to say.
Right. I will not podcast on the chalkboard 100 times.
Yeah.
At
So,
the lodge.
And then they said, but because of this, we do have to send it to the other people above them and the outer head and whatever, these other people. And I'm like, whatever, I don't care. I'm not fucking coming. And I'm like, I should be getting paper sent back to me soon saying that I'm not even a member anymore. So I was like, who cares, And then one day, it was like maybe a month later, I got like a letter in the mail. I was like, fucking OTO. I was like, first off, I was like, how the fuck did they even find my address? Because I had moved. That bugged me out a little bit. And my friend was still the secretary at the time. And he's like, well, when you moved, there was like a thing that they send every once in a while. It's maybe every 6 months or some shit. They must have sent that in the time around like when I still had the address change. So it got sent back to them with my new address on it. It didn't get forwarded to me. Sometimes they normally forward it, but sometimes they'll send the shit back with the new address change and tell you got to resend it. So he told me that's how we got your address. He's like, don't worry about it. But they sent me a letter in the mail.
They're everywhere, man. They're at the mail. They're at the mail post office. And they're on every
right.
corner.
Yeah, they post office. They probably are. Even the reason why I say that is because after the end of one of the initiations, they want you to take Liber Oz and go post it up onto like 3 federal fucking places. And they suggest or a church. They suggest go put in a church, a post office, and a police station. I'm like, why? Is that where all your fucking people are at already?
Yeah, the joke's already right itself, right?
Yeah, they'll make sure they go and take it down. Hey, you're supposed to put your name and everything on it too.
I mean, you brought that up, and I'm curious because like I'm only familiar with Freemasonry, but I was always and forgive me, man, for like please forgive me, but like in Freemasonry they've kind of looked at OTO, and
like
some of the other ancillaries that it's like the criminal version, like that's where like all the drug addicts and sex addicts go to do more or less the same rituals, just in like more casual clothes, maybe.
Yeah, see the OTO, you start off like that, and the Masons, you just got to get into inner orders to do that.
Yeah, right. You gotta work your way into being more casual,
total, and then it's okay to run underage kids and do drugs, But
and that reminds me, today's episode is sponsored by the Order of the Royal Jesters. So shout out to you guys, man. Lodge number 665. Oh, off by 1 too. That sucks for you guys.
Yeah.
Shout out.
There's a Royal Order of the Moose 666 in actually the Liberty Building in New York City.
That's interesting. There's all. Did you know? There's. I think I sent you a picture of this.
Right.
What was the Flintstones one? The
something of the moose, something moose. Yeah.
The buffaloes had, but they actually have legit Masonic orders now that you can become whatever the hell the Flintstones was. I mean, everyone knows it's like an inside joke, but like you can get the little pin and everything.
Yeah, that's what. Oh, but sorry, I took us totally off track. But long story short, I got a letter in the mail, and it was telling me that I was kicked out for doing what I did.
So it was like, you don't quit, you're fired.
Imagine that's what they did. Imagine they got the paperwork and they're like, oh, we'll just kick them out now. I didn't even think of that. I don't know, like when you mail it to whoever you're sending it to, if they actually contact like the lodge person, the lodge master, and be like, oh, Nick sent us his paperwork. Or do they tell them like after the fact, like so-and-so's been removed? I don't know how that works. I
feel like what they do is they take your name from like the good boy list and they put it on the shit list. Kind of like Scientologists have the list of, I forgot the name for that one too, but there's like a certain name. Then if your name gets on that list, it's like you're allowed to just treat that person differently.
I will have to say though, I mean, unless they contacted like my old personal accounts that I haven't used in years and years, I never got any shit from them. So I mean, I am kind of impressed with that.
So they hit you for DMCA for just reading some of their materials, I guess. Where all their materials are still copyrighted by the OTO directly, or how does that work?
I don't know how that. I don't know, because the whole thing is like, all right, I took, what is the name of that book? The Secret Rituals of the OTO. Now there's a lot of stuff in there that is incorrect. And when I was kind of going through it, I was actually adding in what was, done. Cause like, I don't even think the book does tell you some of the handshakes and some of the words that it said. I don't think they're correct, or it doesn't tell you. That shit is still missing, or it's wrong. So like I was fixing everything that I caught on and could realize, or that I remembered that was completely wrong, and kind of like did it that way. So, I mean, I was using a book, or I don't know if it was either the book or me actually like saying the real shit that I experienced. You know what I'm saying?
Do you leave anything out, or have you done like a tell-all of your whole experience? Or are there some secrets that you keep secret?
No. When I first came out, I was very like, I guess, very angry at the OTO, even though like it's hard to explain. It really isn't like, it's partially their fault and partially just humans are fucking morons, and they take advantage of it. But like I was, I had no problem like basically saying anything about. The only thing I really didn't do was I never got into names and addresses and places, because I knew because of humans being crazy. You know, I could say something and then someone can hear that and go do something when I don't want that. You know what I'm saying?
Well,
And now because
could you
what I
drop
put out
on me
there,
like what's
yeah.
the secret handshake? Like if I were to just go to some OTO lodge and I wanted to like get to the secret boss at the end, you know what I mean? The one that gives you like the extra gold coin or whatever. Like what kind of handshakes, what kind of things do I got to say? Like
Oh,
how do
I
I
mean,
just bust up in a lodge?
I mean, well, first off, you could just show up anyway, on if as long as it's an open day. But I think funny is that when they do that stuff, from my experience, again, now maybe when you get higher up, I don't know, but
Mhm.
yeah, I've only ever seen really. I mean, in initiations, you will go through like the new shit, and that some rituals you will do like kind of stuff, but it's like only the Minerva, which is like half in and half out. You're not even a full member for the most part, from what I remember. Like that's the one thing that I think they constantly will do. It's not like anything above that to that I could still tell, like, well, so and so.
What was the highlight of the initiation
Oh,
ritual?
I mean, you go like that, and then you put your hand down by your bottom and act like you're cutting your stomach across. I mean, that is like
That's it?
that's yeah. You pump your thumb a few times. I think it's yeah. You will pump someone's thumb either 3 times by four or
When
four
you say
times
pump
by
your thumb, what can you give me a visual on
you
oh,
go out,
like giving them
stick
a
your
thumbs up?
thumbs up, and then they go,
That's a little gay. That's a little gay. That's cool. Whatever. We
yeah,
accept all kinds here. You want to
check
pump
this out.
thumbs? You can pump thumbs.
Check this out. You want to hear some weird, wild shit? Now, in that Minerval, you're on your way to Heliopolis. You're heading to Heliopolis, and then you get stopped by like these people, and they take you to a camp. Heliopolis in gematria equals thumbs up,
Interesting.
and you go and you pump your thumbs. In that.
And that's significant to me at least because like Mathers, right? Mathers was one of the OGs in the OTO, the Golden Dawn, and the Mathers cipher is one of the popular gematria ciphers that people
Oh, I should
still
check that
use.
out.
They sometimes refer to it as the Hebrew cipher, although technically
Oh,
it's
okay,
like a
all right.
Mathers cipher.
Oh, yeah, no, I use a Hebrew and English when I do mine.
That's interesting. Okay, so you go in, they stroke your thumb a few times,
Yeah.
in like a
Oh,
weird
that's
way.
like at the end, like after you've done everything, they will, you know.
And you said you didn't get that high. How high did you get, and how high is there?
I did third. That's as far as I got.
Okay, is it loosely based on like Freemasonic hierarchy and whatnot, or have you ever looked
I
in to
mean,
see if how much it correlated?
I know, like, in the higher up ones, you do start getting into, I mean, I could probably pull it up, but, like, I could probably freestyle it enough now anyway. The higher see, well, one thing too, the fifth degree, you have to be asked to do. You can petition up to the fourth anyway by yourself, and then unless, like, you're a complete idiot or they think, like, there's something off with you, like, you might be a danger to people, you'll keep going at least, you know what I'm saying? But after that, in the ones higher up, I think I'm just taking a guess. This might be even like Freemasonic in a sense too. You almost start getting like at these degrees, there'll also be like little add-ons that you can add, or like little names or titles that start coming. It's not just like that one degree. Then there's like other little things that can attach to it, and you start getting like Knights Templar shit. You will see a lot of the same names that you see that come with grades and degrees in other places and stuff
Mhm.
that I've seen in Freemasonry.
Yeah, Freemasonry has some of that, but it's like you go into the Blue Lodge and now you get like the Knights Templar stuff. Or if you go into the Scottish Rite, that's when you get what people consider like the high degrees, up to like 32 or 33. But I'm not really as familiar with all the little ancillary stuff unless you start volunteering to, show up at lodge and, clean the kitchen and stuff. Then you might get like little special titles like the Grand Consort, and it's like you made great mashed potatoes one night. I don't know.
Oh, so like this, like there is I'll read off some of them, like in the lovers, toward the fifth degree, you can have the sovereign prince of the Rose Cross and the knight of the Pelican and Eagle, knight of the Red Eagle, a member of the Senate of Knight of Hermetic Philosophers. The sixth one, you can be illustrious knight of the Order of Kadosh, a Grand Inquisitor Commander, Prince of the Royal Secret, perfect pontiff of the Illuminati, EPOP of the Illuminati, initiate of the sanctuary of the Gnosis. This one I like, especially since I've been covering the Gilgo Beach. Rex Summus Sanctissimus.
Do you have all that at the bottom of your business card?
What? Yeah, right. Imagine that.
Just put all the little titles on the bottom.
Yeah, people are like, oh, what the
On your
fuck is
link,
this?
put it on your LinkedIn and just start applying the jobs, and they check you out and like, well,
Yeah.
this guy's for real.
They'd be like, yo, I got to copy and paste and Google this. I don't even know what this stuff.
So
Either that or they'll think I'm into LARPing or some shit.
what was it? I mean, I actually would love to get into that topic, but what was it about the OTO and not, I don't know, a million other, why wasn't it the Knights of Columbus or something?
It's actually more of like, I actually would have preferred the Golden Dawn because I was looking for something that was a little bit more of like school, a little bit more rigid. It didn't have much of like the same look as the OTO. And I believed Crowley was an occult genius, but I wasn't like into something that was just like all going to be like Crowley. I really wasn't caring for that. And there was no Golden Dawn near me, at least not that I could find. And I happened to was like, I'll check the OTO because I have watched a lot of their stuff on YouTube. A lot of lodges even have like informative or like, I guess, podcasts or shows on like, their own topics. And I used to like,
did they DMCA themselves just for good measure?
It's
part of the ritual.
Give himself a copyright.
Yeah. It's like the self-flagellation, right? Like Opus Dei.
But so I happened to look up, which is real easy. I'm sure like most people realize these things aren't hard to find that listen to our shows. It was US, oto.usa.org or some shit like that. It was really easy. I found it. And I was like, oh, there's 125 minutes, 20 minutes away from me when I lived in Queens. So I was like, I guess that's really like my only option because like I knew somebody that I was friends with told me maybe the Martinists, but there wasn't any around me. And he was a Mason himself. I knew a few Masons already, and they had already told me like, if you want to get into magic, like you're going to have to join this and wait like 10, 15 years.
Mm-hmm.
So like, you're not going to, at least with the OTO or the Golden Dawn that you're starting off with.
You're talking about the Martinists have like a 10-year waiting list?
No. He was getting at like, before anybody in the Freemasons want to admit that there's actually occultism and magic, you're going to have to wait until you get up fucking high enough for anybody to start talking about it.
Maybe. I mean, I was only a Master Mason and one of my brothers in lodge started mentioning how it was like magical rituals and stuff.
I guess it could also be very much probably like you're saying location in a sense too.
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, absolutely.
Actually, just from things that I've seen with the OTO, each lodge kind of has like its own flair and its own secrecy and its own little way we want to do things and whatever.
Yeah, dude, I don't grain of salt on this one, but I talked to someone recently that said that they had joined Freemasonry to expose it, and then I mean they were dropping some hot fire, like some stuff that they shouldn't have been saying, but it's nothing that you couldn't find on your own. But he was saying that in the West Coast, Freemasonry, they don't care about memorization, they don't care about a whole lot of sort of like the regular guidelines, and they just want you to read Secret Teachings of All Ages, Secret Doctrine, and like a few other books, and they'll just quiz you on, I guess, the minutia of some of that esotericism. That didn't sound right to me, but again, I have no idea how it operates in California. I'm not even sure if California is a real place still, but here in the southern jurisdiction, it's very strict on memory work. Like you have to be able to train your mind to memorize like a book's worth of content, and that's basically the bar to get in. So I couldn't imagine something being so different where it's like, yeah, in California, you just kind of like have to know a lot of Manly Palmer Hall. And they're like, yeah, you're in, bro. Here's your surfboard, here's your apron type of deal. I don't know how it worked, but.
And what I wanted to ask, just real quick. I know for me, like whenever I did like initiations, like, they start running off their whole like little like threat of you repeating stuff. And like, I guess for the most part, I mean, maybe you'll understand what I'm getting at. Like in initiations, sometimes I'm like not even really paying attention to what's going on because I'm thinking about what just happened, what's going to happen next. And it's like, your mind really isn't taking everything in. In my opinion, it was going to other people's after the fact.
Exactly. Yeah, it's being able to be an observer.
It's totally different. Yeah.
Yeah, dude.
But besides that, when they, you know, they'd say those things, and it's just, you know, it sounds all like, oh, okay. And then like after the fact, like when I even started to think of like covering, you know, I told you prior that like I had problems.
Like, are they gonna
I
hunt
was
me
looking
down
at
and cut me open?
no, well, see, I started looking at it and I started reading it, and I was like, you know, in my opinion, if you are an actual somebody who's experienced magic, I think these are all empty threats, actually.
I'm with you on that. I don't want to get too deep into the specifics, but I really do personally believe, and this might not be widely accepted in Freemasonry and elsewhere, but I believe that those are all very like metaphorical threats. The threats themselves are also hidden knowledge. Like you read those, and you're supposed to
Yes,
interpret that as secret knowledge.
'cause
And
I
if
was
you
like,
look,
I'm
if you
reading the
think
shit.
like someone's actually going to cut you open, then like you're like you don't understand it still. Like you need to go back and start over from the first degree again and work yourself up until you. But I also know that there's some like super crusty OGs that have been, you know, that have been in lodge longer than I've been on the planet, and
I'm
they
sure
would
it's
completely disagree.
I'm sure, yeah, but I was gonna say, like, for me, that was another thing too. Like, honestly, I never did notice anything illegal with the OTO. But if I did, I don't know, because again, like now I'm
You
starting
just
to
didn't get high enough, man. That's what
yeah,
that's what I when I
probably,
talk to people about Freemasonry and they're like, man, I heard this guy, like, you know, this lodge, they kidnapped a bunch of kids and like they did all this. And it's like, man, I've never heard anything remotely close to that. They do like St. John's Day and they do like, you know, the little fez things in the little car
yeah.
sometimes, and they raise money for, you know, hospitals. Like, yeah, but that must just be at the higher degrees, bro. That's at like 33 or 34. That's when that starts.
Yeah, but like basically what I was saying is like I never said anything that was really going to affect them, really. You know what I'm saying? Like nobody's going to get in trouble. Nobody's life is going to be changed after what I said. You
Well,
know,
are there any like secrets that you could really divulge that would be like, okay, now you don't have to go to an OTO lodge ever because I just told you this thing. Like, spoiler alert, if I told you like who the killer in Scream 1 was, and
and
now it's like now you don't have to go in and see it.
unfortunately, like that would be just a matter of an opinion and not something like you know that I could like say
Well,
that they
well,
told.
what would be the thing? If there were a thing that you could say, what would that thing be?
That magic is, in my opinion, separating your soul from your body,
Mm.
and it's not what most people think at all.
Separating from? So like the magic
Separate.
is in you and you're taking parts of it out in order to use magic?
You leave your body. In my opinion, it's basically an NDE.
A
You
near
give
death
giving
experience, yeah.
yourself an NDE every time you have magic, in my opinion.
Or
Experience.
a near unalive experience as YouTube
Yeah,
calls them.
yeah. No, the thing is I don't think any. I think there's a lot of people who never even have that thought in their mind that that's actually what magic is. And then if you were to have that experience, that could really fucking rock you to the core. So
I've never heard that as being related to magic, but I guess how familiar with are you with Rosicrucianism? Did you ever get into that at all?
no.
No, because again, I'm a actual bumpkin when it comes to these like esoteric groups outside of, you know, Freemasonry. But my interpretation, correct me as I get things wrong, but it was that the Golden Dawn started and Golden Dawn turned into OTO, and OTO had less rules than Golden Dawn. And then there was also Rosicrucianism, but Rosicrucianism was for men only. And I believe that was what kind of spawned the Golden Dawn originally, was they were like, well, we want to be able to do what the Rosicrucians are doing, but be co-ed. And then somehow the OTO came out of Golden Dawn because of Crowley, and Crowley had some sort of beef with the OTO guys. How much of that, or had with the Golden Dawn guys, how much of that is correct?
The
Do I even have the broad strokes?
The OTO came from Freemasonry. You used to be able to transfer over if you were a higher degree enough. You used to be able to transfer over into the OTO at a different degree because they were connected. When Crowley,
Well,
when Crowley,
is that
yes, it is true. I'm sorry. I know you're
well,
gonna take
hold on. Was it bi-directional though? Because I could understand if they were like, well, if you got into third degree masonry, then you can transfer into OTO. But could you just go into OTO and then
Oh
immediately?
no! You had to be a free. No, if you were a Freemason, you can go into the OTO.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, and it came from people from that were Freemasons.
Right. It was the dudes that wanted to talk magic after
Yeah.
after the lodge was over. So okay.
And
So
then the Golden Dawn, that's its own separate entity. So Crowley got kicked out of the Freemasons. He also got kicked out of the Golden Dawn.
Well, it's disputed if he was ever actually in the Freemasons or if he was like
yeah.
made,
I
whatever.
actually question a lot of his stories. I think a lot of them are actually just occult tales, especially
Do you think he really climbed mountains as
I think
often as he said?
I think that just goes along with being a goat and occult symbolism, Twin Peaks, shit like that.
Yeah, true.
I mean, if he very much could have, for knowing, it's like I'm reenacting occultism, But I do think a lot of his some of them, for sure, I do think is just occult tales. But to get back to it, Theodore Roos and I think one or two other guys had the OTO. Then Crowley had written the Book of the Law. They came across the Book of the Law and thought that he was writing about them. So they contacted him and it was like, yo, dude, what's up? This is the story again. They're like, yo, dude, what's up? Like you're dropping our secrets. You're putting our secrets out there. And he's like, I don't even know who the hell you are. And then they met up and they handed him the OTO. And then he said that he thought because there was a ridiculous amount of degrees to match Freemasonry, he thought it was ridiculous how many degrees there was in Freemasonry that he knocked out like fucking half of them or whatever and left it with like 12 or 13, and tried to like condense them as well. So that was a change. And like, he even changed the initiations, the degrees, and then the Book of the Law was like their Bible.
Yeah, and I think that in Europe, the rites of Memphis and Mizraim were fairly large, and they went up to like 99 degrees. And then even when people started coming over into the United States originally, like there was not a lot of agreement on how many degrees there would be until Albert Pike kind of came. Albert Pike was like the guy that standardized it. Another fellow Illuminati member. Did his name ever come up in any of your Illuminati talks at the OTO?
No, what's so funny there? They were like, I guess because I was into conspiracies, which got me even into joining the OTO. And it's like when you went in there, it's like they really weren't into, I don't know, it was very weird.
What was the average age group in there?
It was probably like mid to late 30s, or maybe
Okay.
40s. But like like conspiracy stuff was like they would joke around about how like, oh yeah, and people think like, it's the Illuminati's real and these things that we're doing. They would joke around thinking like, this shit really doesn't happen. I'm like, really? Like you don't like I understand we're in something, but like there's always going to be one grimy piece of shit doing something screwed up out of 100 people, 200 people. You can't say out of the whole organization, all of that stuff is not true. Just by odds, some of it's probably going to be to an extent.
It's just a law of numbers,
And
right?
yeah, and they just want to ignore, like, oh, it's so funny. They're so stupid, those people. And it's like, no, you're actually ignorant. You don't even know what magic is. You don't even know what your will is.
Well, so this brings me into a good segue because I've got a list of questions. I got some rapid fire questions, and basically I want to hear how valid you think some of these topics are. So if you give something a 1, it's like that's it's bullshit. It's a psyop. It's a silly fruit little thing. And if you give it a 10, it's like I'm all in. 100% reptilians exist or whatever. So and I wrote some of these
This is
specifically for you. So I just want to see what you're, and then based on what you answer here, we'll go on a few other little tangents.
This is like a Which Way book. You remember that?
Okay. Oh man, and I forgot. I got to start this one. The first important question: New York Patriot, are you a cop?
No.
Because if you're a cop, you have to tell me. You're not allowed to lie about this. If I ask it straight up like this, are you a cop?
Nope.
All right. Everyone heard it.
I am a felon.
Oh, are we allowed to talk like this? Is this violating parole for anybody?
No.
What are you a felon for?
Oh, I've mentioned it on my show plenty of times, actually. I've never hidden that.
What are your crimes? I want to go Scientologist now. What are your crimes?
I went to federal prison for I did 2.5 years. Well, really 2 years with good time and halfway house. I did 2 years for selling steroids on the internet.
Sweet. You said it was 2 years and it was a good time? Is that what you said?
I don't know about a good time, but no, I did 2 years with good time. It was very, dude, it was like being in the Twilight Zone for 2 years. It was the most bizarre experience. Prison, I guess because I went to a low, it's like, that's like nothing. You're not going to see
Mhm.
really crazy shit there. The low, I guess like that was just like a free for all for like all sorts of shit that I never thought would have been acceptable in prison. So
Yeah, it's yeah, just like leaving the bad kids alone and letting them
yeah, it was
do their
yeah,
thing.
it's like yeah, it was bad enough to where it's like you'd be walking through the yard and you'd see pedophiles sitting at a table playing magic cards or trading comic books, like, and they had their own bocce ball court. I was like, how does this happen in prison?
Do you think any of them were in Epstein's black book,
Oh, I have no
or
idea.
was it not that high enough?
I mean, we had some sick people in there. I mean, I don't want to waste the time and screw up the show by going into the charges and stuff, but you know.
No, actually, I've got a printout of your rap sheet right here. We're gonna go over it step by no. I was in I'm not gonna go into it either, but I was in military confinement for a while. So from what I hear though, like going to like a regular jail or a prison was preferable to military confinement
I
because
have heard that
you
from
could like
people. Yes.
if you wanted to, you could sleep or you could smoke or you could just like do your own thing. And in the military, do like every 5 minutes was scheduled and you had to be like standing on a line and you were like cleaning all the time. So yeah. Okay, so we detracted. Here we go. We're gonna do a score of 1 to 10 on a bunch of these different topics and just try to like go quick.
Okay. Yeah.
If you're like on the fence and you want to explain it more, just throw it a 5 and we'll get into it.
All right. Cool.
Did Aleister Crowley talk to aliens and or demons?
10.
Okay, so you're convinced that he definitely did. We're gonna get into that.
Well, maybe I should say that a 5 because it's like a yes, but
Okay,
sorry.
all right, we'll
I'm
get
already
into there.
screwing it up. I'm already screwing it up. Sorry.
Did we bury Osama bin Laden at sea in May 2011?
1.
The the law of attraction is an actual law and not just self-help silliness.
I give that like a 7.
Did the Knights Templars kiss cat buttholes? Have you ever heard that before?
If they did, I'm very interested in hearing about that.
Okay,
So
we'll talk about it. How correct do you think that is?
I mean, I don't think so, but nothing would surprise me.
Okay, okay. All the world's fair buildings were here already, and we destroyed them.
I would give that like a 6 or a 7.
6. Okay, we're definitely getting to that. Could a normal person buy a book off Amazon and then summon demons that weekend and actually do something?
I mean, I'll give that a 5. Sorry, I thought too long.
Okay, all right. Could we have cars that run on water, but the government just won't let us have them?
I think so, actually. Yeah.
Okay.
I think we might have actually had those already.
Epstein hung himself.
1.
Okay. Your phone is recording everything you say, even when it's off.
I'd say that's probably like an 8 or a 9.
Celebrity clones are real.
I'm sure there has to be at least one out there.
More than one.
Yeah, I'm sure there's
Okay.
a few. I'll give that a 10.
Did we ever land on the moon?
I don't think so. 1.
Oh, okay. So that's the end of the 1 through 10s, but I want to get into that one immediately.
Okay.
Flat Earth, hollow Earth, round Earth. Do you care? Do you have a stance?
I mean, in my opinion, I do think that we're probably like almost like a projection onto something flat. You know, but besides that, I mean, I see, for me, I don't think like my opinion, I don't think anything out there is actually real.
So do you think like if you were to take a plane from here and could you circumnavigate the globe and would that be because it's a sphere? Like how would that work if you were to circumnavigate it? Or do you think that you can't circumnavigate it?
Well, I think like if you probably like if we were allowed to fly anywhere the fuck we wanted, I'm sure then we might be able to like go from one end to the next because it's flat.
So do you believe that there's like an Arctic wall and there's like something beyond the Arctic wall?
I have wondered that, but again, like I also, in my opinion, the flat Earth. But see, this is even another thing, and even another reason why I even question what we even see out there. The flat Earth model even looks a lot like the inside of your eyeball. And I did just spend like 3 episodes talking about occult symbolism in your eyeball.
Yeah, that's an awesome topic.
Yeah, so like I do that's kind of like, in my opinion, I do think the moon is like not even like real in a sense. Like I think it's like a reflecting kind of thing. It's like it could be like the lens inside of our eye in a sense.
Do you believe in the localized sun or whatever they call it? This is where like the sun is like within the firmament.
I think what we're seeing out there is literally just being projected out of our eyeballs.
So I mean, so that obviously eliminates any chance of us going out into space. And so does this just NASA is paid to be just a psyop program? That's where all their funding
Well,
essentially goes.
I mean, going by what Elon Musk is doing right now, I think he's just like showing an occult idea over and over and over again. He's boasting. He's like, or showing what's going on in the times right now. I think all that rocket ship shit is all occult symbolism. I mean, fucking Jack Parsons was in the OTO. That guy loved rockets. I mean, David Bowie. You know, I mean, he's got shit with, space, rockets. He admits, he doesn't hide he was in the Golden Dawn.
Do you think Kubrick?
Kubrick?
Kubrick had anything to do with this?
If they used somebody that was already making movies and was well known, it wasn't just like I mean, for all I know, Kubrick was working for the government, but like if they were to use somebody, I would suspect they would have probably maybe have used him, because I do think, like, wasn't he even like the first movie person to even give like the film look of space, technically, kind of.
Yeah, so if you believe in predictive programming, then he's the one that got to tell you, here's what space looks like. So then they show you, okay, here's what space looks like, and it fits what you were expecting. I'm curious, would that make him a good guy or a bad guy in your eyes, or neutral? If it came out and it was like, yeah, Stanley Kubrick, we found evidence, 100%, he helped NASA fake the moon landings.
I mean, he didn't help. I mean, he helped create a lie to project to humanity. I mean, that's even like the cited kind of thing. And I know this is getting like really far off, but I could easily put it this way. Maybe you'll understand. Like, some people like to think that some people in World War II may not have really have been the bad guy. And I'll even give credence to that maybe some of the stuff like that was no different than COVID with propaganda. But if you are complicit with playing that character still, because you are part of the play, you are just as guilty as the bad guy. It's just like wrestling. It's scripted. If you're involved in the script, you're both the same.
So this might, don't get mad at me since you're a New York Patriot, and I'm just kidding, because I know that you already mentioned that name. But like, I actually believe that if anyone is that angry at the Germans of World War II, we're not going to say the name. It'll just be less work for me editing this shit out for YouTube. You can say anything you want, but it's just going to be more work for me. But yeah, so a lot of people villainize the Germans of World War II, rightfully so, because the agenda and the whole thing, horrible, right? But if you really cared that much, you'd also know that all of that mentality came directly from America. Like, we outsourced it to Germany, and all they did was industrialized it. They turned it into a factory process, whereas in the US, it was a capitalistic process. We were like, hey, come do this thing so that you won't have kids anymore, and we'll give you these government benefits, or we'll give you like actual money. I'll cut you a check right now if you tie a knot in your dick right now. And that was kind of how they did it. And they would do IQ tests and stuff, but it was kind of like little opt-in, a little bit like, hey, maybe you won't eat this month unless you do this thing. And so it became like a really horrible decision, again, sort of like a pandemic might be. But the Germans were just like, oh no, we're just going to institute this at the state level and just turn this thing into like a factory job. And by doing that, that they showed the whole world like, oh, if you do this at scale, it's just as bad as it sounds on paper. And then everyone kind of reeled back. But I mean, they all came, even the worst of the Germans, we were like, hey, come back over here. We want to read your notes, right? Like, be our study buddies. So
I had somebody in my chat on a live recently. I don't even know what I was talking about that brought it up, but they had just said like almost like the same thing as you. Like, came from here, bounced, took it over there, and then like they almost kind of like just even perfected it and then sent it back over here kind of recently, in a sense. Like even like look at the fact of getting Antifa. You know what I'm saying? I think that was actually an idea that was kind of sold to them, perfected over there, and now we got these idiots coming over here now, or popping up over here now. It's like, what the fuck?
Well, you want a side of Starbucks? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. Actually, I'm more
Chase
of a
Bank,
Donuts fan.
Dunkin' Donuts.
It's cheaper too. That's why. I'm paying $8 for a fucking coffee. I'll pay $5.
You mentioned first you said 10 and then you said 5. Aleister Crowley talked to aliens or demons. So there's a reference to Lamb, but I just want to know either or. Like, do you think Aleister Crowley talked to some kind of a supernatural entity for real, and it wasn't just him doing his Aleister Crowley thing of like, you know, I'm special.
No, I do think he see, that was a problem, like, saying the alien thing. I'm just, like, not too keen on that whole alien
Well,
idea.
didn't he think it was an alien or no?
He might have, Lamb, I mean, he drew it in my opinion, he does say things that would make it seem like that, but it's like, it's hard to tell with that dude. My opinion, though, I mean, Lamb, I don't think was an alien, even though it looked like a gray, but I don't think he was really technically contacting like something that was like some flesh being or something that was in a spaceship. I think if anything, he was just contacting like, and as silly as it sounds, like entities of like consciousness. That's just like not.
Like an egregore or
Yeah, that I guess, or maybe like something like, I don't want to say a god because like that's like the wrong word for me, but like he could have been definitely contacting something. I just don't think it was going to show up in a spaceship, you know.
And do you think that if he had that ability, was that like some innate ability that he just had from birth, or do you think he like taught himself that from just reading esoteric stuff and putting himself through rituals?
I think to some extent, I do think, I mean, from birth, I think we are actually probably more prone to magic. We're doing magic is, as we get older, we kind of like start getting screwed out of it. So like maybe he might have been a little bit more gifted, or maybe it was just, he was maybe very into it and just studied and practiced a lot. But I do think I think he was gifted enough to where, I think you at some point, especially with Enochian magic, this is just my opinion. I think like you can start like almost running a GPS to where you want to kind of shoot for when you start having magical experiences. And I think he was doing that.
You mean like
Or he was just like, as crazy as it sounds, maybe sending yourself farther back to source. And I think that could start getting darker and deeper in some ways.
is that the same as astral projection?
I would consider actual projection probably like kids play compared to like what he was doing.
Really? Okay, so
Yeah,
astral projection.
I would consider astral projection like, I mean, I guess you consider that with magic with a K, but I would consider magic with a K a little bit more beyond that, to where it's like you're not even here anymore. You're actually like your spirit's like in somewhere else. Like you
So
might have jumped lines and gone to different times or different places or something.
I used to joke around that magic with a K meant that like someone had to get off because usually it was related to Crowley. But I have found a book in the 1640s or something that had magic with a K in it, so it might not belong to Crowley specifically.
Oh, neither does the unicrystal hexagram. You got that from somebody else too.
Are you saying that he was just ripping people off left and right, and that these old occultists were just repeating information and making it sound like they're the ones that found it?
That's probably where Elon Musk got his playbook from.
I was asking you before about Rosicrucians just because you've said a couple things now that reminded me a lot of Rosicrucianism. One of them is that I don't know if I heard it as magic, but that like when you go to sleep or when you astral project or when you meditate or whenever you have an out of body experience like an NDE, really what's happening is that you've got this silver cord. I don't know if you've heard of the silver cord,
Yeah,
but
they
that
do
like
that in, like,
this silver cord like connects it to you. So it's like your soul is connected to your body through this cord, but at night or when you die or in other certain instances, the cord actually can be severed. And in those cases, your spirit, whatever you want to call it, kind of hovers like above your body. And then if you like wake up or something, it's supposed to go back into your body really quick. But there's things that can happen where that doesn't happen. And then this is like maybe where the concept of ghosts and everything came from. But this just reminded me of that aspect because the idea is that you kind of come from like above the, I'm going to simplify things, but you come from above the firmament, like there's just like amorphous blob soul. And as it drops down to the earth, it becomes more and more dense. And as it becomes more dense, it gets covered in matter, almost like putting a bunch of gloves on or putting like a bunch of condoms on, right? And by the time you get down to the actual planet and you're born, it's like you've got 20 gloves on your hand, so you can still feel, you still have a hand, and if you were to like smash it, you'd kind of like feel it moving around a little bit, but you don't have like the same sense of feeling as you would than if you had no gloves on and you were just touching your hand like normal. And this also represents some of like children are more magical than adults. It's because they are the closest to that original form of spirit And then as you get older, it's almost like it calcifies around you, and you get resistant to it. It's like the movie Hook, right? Like if all the Peter Pan's kids, if they just like keep believing in Tinkerbell and fairies and magic, then you never grow up. And if you do, it like starts leaving you and you can't fly anymore.
That's really good. Yeah, it is like that.
But
I
apparently they're really strict there too, Rosicrucians. It's not like the Lost Boys. I don't think you can have food fights.
That's interesting that they that's pretty cool that they even like get into that stuff.
Well, and there's another book that was influenced by Rosicrucians. Manly Palmer Hall has a book called the Occult Anatomy of Man. And you mentioned something before we started recording. You were talking about the seven seals and how you can break down the entire logic of the seven seals in, what was it, like 10 words or less? Can you do that for us?
Oh, I don't know about that.
No, I was just kidding about that. No, but he makes a statement in Occult Anatomy, and it blew my mind. I never heard this before, and now it's like one of my favorite things. But he describes the seven seals as if you could read the entire Bible as it were like a historical, and you read everything as though they mapped to like geographical places and times and dates and people, and you could do it in a way that you actually understood it and it made sense. That's one seal. And now if you can read the Bible again, but now you're reading it as like an anatomy manual, and every single person represents like an organ, and every event represents like a process, like a biological process. Well, now you've got two seals. So he was, I guess, hinting that seven seals really means being able to read any occult text, take the book of law, anything, and being able to read it in seven different contexts. And then by like the Hermetic principle, as above, so below, and through analogy, that like a person that truly understands the Bible, for example, could read it in any of those different contexts and still be able to explain to someone else in another context. So I've had never heard that before. Like, are there other explanations of the seven seals that you think are interesting or valid? Because it's such an abstract concept, right? Or is there like an agreed upon thing? Like, no, it was an actual wax seal.
I do think like, when we were going to cover it on the Occult Rejects, I was heavily going to focus on like tarot and Kabbalah. But again, tarot does, the way I look at tarot, I do use it kabbalistically on the way on the tree, the way they fall on the tree. So I mean, that's kind of why I was using that. It was more of pictorial to an art. But it's almost very much like what you were saying. I do think even in the tree of life, with the spheres or the paths, I do think you can start seeing like seven things needing to change in order to get to like a magical experience. Or being able to break out of those seven handcuffs, to have a magical experience. And, even when it comes down to even like magic, my opinion, part of it will be like lowering your vibration down to like the earth's vibration. And that is like a
Like Schumann resonance or something.
Yeah, isn't that like a 7 point something? So I'm like, even there, like you're even getting the seven again with like tapping into the earth's vibration.
Interesting.
So it's, I think like the seven seals there's a lot of things, like you were saying, I think there's a lot of things that need to happen to start even like cracking one and getting all the way through. But
do you think David Koresh was anywhere near the seven seals?
I have wondered if David Koresh might have actually understood magic.
Do you think magic is compatible with Christianity? Do you think there could be Christians out there that are legit? Yeah. Have you met any?
I mean, no, personally met, no, but like people that I've seen on like in the media, to me, like they're claimed to be, I don't think they are. I mean, put it this way. I guess because of me possibly being a Christian or Catholic Christian for most of my life when I was religious, so that's like half of it, probably really not much, but it was enough. And
how much of it when you were thinking for yourself?
Oh, probably none. Yeah. No, but like, I went, normally just to go because of the family or whatever. But so like, it was something I grew up around, especially as a child. So I don't know if that's why I went back to it, but like, to be wholly honest with you, I have even said myself on my own show that I do promote actually understanding the Bible because I think it's as cult as shit.
Agreed. Yeah. Especially Revelation.
So, right? So in my opinion, like that is such an easy thing to just claim and use as occultism because you already understand that flair. if you understand what I'm getting at. I do think, like, why some people will call themselves, like, some people will say that they're Jewish, but I really think they're Kabbalists. But it's just like I can identify with Kabbalah in Hebrew, then I'll just claim Jew or whatever. But like Kanye West, perfect example. I think he's a magician. I think he's an occultist, and he just gravitates to the Christian look and the Christian shit. It's all just little flares of occultism or a different aspect in an experience in occultism that they just like. Maybe that experience hit them more. Maybe aesthetically it looks better. It's a little bit more conservative, and I think that they just run with that and use that, but it means something very much different. I even think you're getting that a lot with politicians when they're like, "Oh, I want to thank Jesus." They claim that these conservatives are these hard Christians and Catholics. No, you're just an occultist, and you just pick that religion to talk shit.
I know you're not talking about my Trump.
Oh, I didn't even actually think it.
Where are you at now on religion?
Sucks.
I mean, I'm gonna put my preconceived notions on the table here, because if you believe in magic and demons, and it feels like you have to believe in spirit, and if you have to believe in spirit, then you kind of have to believe in like maybe a demonic or evil side of that spirit. So how far away are we from God and devil at that point?
No, I do religion. I do think I mean, it's great that it's hard to explain. I think
Three words or less.
it's too many rules.
Me no. Too many rules. That's actually great, man. Maybe you do great with the three words or less stipulation. Too many rules.
If people were allowed to explore that book and not be told how to practice it, I think it would be a lot better.
Do you listen to hip hop?
Not really, not anymore.
Not did you in the 90s and
Oh,
2000s right there? There was highly recommend this album. Not a lot of people take it seriously, but Sticky Fingers came out with a solo album, and I think it was called The Trial of Kirk Jones or something. But he has a song on that album where he's talking to God. I think it's called Talk to God, and he's like praying to God or something. It's a little annoying. It's not the best musically, but he asked this question, or God responds, and he says this thing, and like I have never been able to shake it since I heard it. But he's saying, like, paraphrasing, do you really think that I could create laws that could be broken? And that always like really resonated with me, and I always wonder that. So I want to just ask you that and give credit to Sticky Fingers of all people in Onyx. But he posed that question, and it's still been an absolute mindfuck to me for multiple decades. So do you think that God could create rules that could even be broken?
No, not really. I don't think so.
So does that mean that any rules that could be broken are all just human made?
Yes. Yeah. That's what I was thinking. I agree
And
with that.
are you just saying that because you want to do
No,
bad
no,
things?
no,
You
no.
just
I mean,
want to
I
be a
didn't, I
criminal and
didn't
get away with it. That's
no,
what I
I
hear.
didn't want I didn't want to drag on an answer and then you start hitting me with 3 words or less. But no, I mean, from my experience with magic, yes. From my experience with magic, I think there is a lot of rules and laws that are put onto us that is a problem. And that's actually what stops us from ever having these experiences.
Do you
So
think
what I'm
that
saying is that you need to actually break them. And in my opinion, then like I don't know. Like I just don't think God, but no, I think you're right with that.
do you think you could sit down and teach someone magic and like they would actually walk away knowing how to produce magic? Or do you think that like someone has to figure it out for themselves? Is it like doing like an ollie on a skateboard, or like what
Yeah.
like is there an analogy that you could even paint to it?
I mean, I could give people like what I did to get to that point with like certain practices, like with meditations and breathing work and stuff like that. But I really do like to a certain extent, it's really gonna have to be within the person too. The
What
whole
kind of
shadow working even comes with that as well.
like like so again, I'm a bumpkin when it comes to the
Yeah,
magic
sure.
stuff. So I come from Harry Potter magic, all right? So that so I imagine, like OTO, you get to the high levels and they're like blasting fireballs out of like, wands or something. I don't know.
Street Fighter.
Yeah, exactly. Street Fighter. Is there anything at all? Like, what is the closest thing to that you think might be valid in that? Like, I'll give you an example as like one. is that there's a concept that, you know, some of like these Buddhist monks can go out into the snow and just like melt the snow all around them and raise their body temperature to levels that like clearly they've got control over what's normally like an automatic system in your body, right? So maybe I'll consider that as like a physical, like if someone did that in front of me, I'd be like, okay, that's magic. You know what I mean? Like you're pressing the hell out of me. Is there anything like that you think that you could have seen or learned or attained to in the OTO or other sort of Western esotericism?
Tell you the truth, most of the stuff at the lodge was very just like almost, cookie cutter. I would never like there was like maybe one or two things in my experience in the OTO where I might have actually like felt something, but a lot of it, they'll even tell you there the magic all happens on your own at home. My own experience is like what you had said about somebody melting snow. I actually think that would probably happen after they've had magical experience, because I think you will actually like kind of put off a lot of heat and energy after the fact, from my experience. One of the things that I did that did also like very much convinced me that magic was real, but I couldn't. I mean, I guess I could explain and try to tell you what I did
Yeah,
again.
please.
No, I'm just saying. Well, it's, blowing out the candle. Haven't I told you about that before? Maybe I haven't. Blowing out a candle, just like the thought.
Okay, yeah, no, I think I remember you telling me about this one.
Yeah, so I mean, like that proved like that right there was like something that shook me to my core because I was like,
Consistently, or did it just happen like the one time and
one
that shook
time.
you?
Well, oh no, it happened like almost three. I started noticing the light flickering, and then it happened again, and then I tried to do it, and then it did flicker, and then I finally put it out, and I said that's enough.
And
So
you
I
were
mean, I guess
solo here?
I was inside my house, inside my living room,
Right.
sitting in a chair with
You
my
did have
back.
like an OTO person like hiding behind
No,
the couch with like the canned air.
I wish, because that did freak me the fuck out. Honestly, I'll be totally honest. That wasn't like a cool thing at the time. Because like that
What
really did prove to me like there's something I just literally changed physical reality. And like
so why
that's
why would
kind
that
of
be scary though?
beyond, because that according to everything that I have grown up believing, that shouldn't happen. That just told me everything I've been told is a lie. That's hard to swallow, my man.
Well, maybe, but I mean, if you're also fairly receptive to say like flat Earth or a projected Earth, it doesn't sound that much crazier than magic is real.
Well, I thought I didn't believe that until after magic.
Okay, so was that like a floodgates opening moment?
Yes, for sure.
What other things that you did you not believe before that and then started to believe after that? Like anything like super outlandish that if you went back in time and you could talk to yourself pre-candle and be like, "Yo, this shit's real." Like what part would old you be like, "Bro, like come on, man, you're being extra."
Believe it or not, I mean, that's a good question. Maybe, I do believe there might be a reason for all these things, but I have looked back and just thought that like some of the stuff, like overdoing all like the stones, the herbs, the this and the that, and making sure I have all of these, these stones match Mars or it matches this god or matches this sphere. Doing all that stuff, I look back at and just think it was kind of pretty much in the long run, probably a waste of money. And was just a lot of woo-woo silly shit.
So
Be-
this is, I mean, you have to correct me because I'm just talking from what I understand, but like the special stones and the herbs, usually that's when you're trying to make a talisman or bring some kind of like an energy from the planets based on the constellations above you. So you try to like match, what's above, so below, and then that gives you like a better chance, right? It's like buying 20 lottery tickets instead of buying one lottery ticket
yes,
when
yeah.
you're doing something, but it doesn't necessarily mean you've got like better chances overall.
I could say I think my idea of magic changed hugely, or like my idea of like understanding like magic. Like after the fact, I guess my idea of what white magic or black magic or all that stuff is. Uh that I think changed because like looking back at my magical experience, this is actually, is a perfect example. We're talking about candles, and maybe I'll make a candle for this to happen or for that to happen. Me looking at actually myself even doing any of that, I found silly as shit. Because it's just like, in my opinion, that actually is black magic, in my opinion. Me doing anything to actually try to change this reality at all without changing me first is black magic.
Really?
And me just being in existence, in my honest opinion, is black magic.
Just you or everybody?
Us existing is black magic, because all we do here is take everybody else away from their will. You know what I'm saying?
This sounds very kabbalistic. What's the book by like the three people, the Kabbalion, the
yeah.
Kybalion? They mentioned something similar to this, that all life is constantly screwing up, and then once you get it perfect, you almost get like sucked back into the hole. But then if you don't get it perfect, you have to like keep reliving it over and over again. And the ideal is that everyone lives a perfect life, and they all get sucked back into the hole, and then we're all just like a big perfect ball of goo at some point, I guess. I don't like astral goo. But it sounds very much like that.
It even goes back even to like, you know, even stuff with when I started covering the eyeball series. I mean, unfortunately, that even solidified my idea even more about that, because I do think, you know, the white magic and the black magic, it does, you know, in my opinion, when you have a magical effect, you're going to have one eye open and one eye pinned. You know, going in, your pupil is going to be smaller. So it's going to look like you have more white of the eye showing. You're going into yourself, having a magical experience, and then when you shoot back out into this fucking shithole of an experience, that is black magic, because now your pupil's bigger.
Would it have any effect on you if you were blind, like on how magical you could be?
You know, I've wondered about that. I've seriously wondered about that. I've wondered if that makes it easier for them, because in my
Like if you didn't
opinion,
have eyes at all?
yeah, in my opinion, you're kind of shut. In my opinion, I think you're shutting off your eyes too. You're going to like stop the tears. You're going to pretty much choke your eye out of oxygen. And then you'll go from the aqueous humor into the vitreous humor, and you'll be like Jesus turning water into wine. And then you'll head to the optic nerve, like they tell you in the Minerval degree, the God name is on, because I was supposed to go to the optic nerve, and they just dragged me somewhere else.
Okay, yeah, that was the initiation ritual. That was the programming part. That was the trauma that they usually implant some other lesson during that little motion there.
Yeah. No, but I do think, like, even when it comes down to white magic and black magic, I even do think that that is even pertaining to your eyeballs. But like, yeah, even my whole idea of like what I was saying, what magic was after that experience, honestly, me thinking like what I was doing, I thought was kind of rather silly to an extent, or just I was just even like, wow, like I thought that's what magic was, and it's like nothing that I would have ever have expected.
And is that the farthest that you ever went personally, was the candles?
Well, I would probably say like where I've done in meditation was probably a little bit more. That was like a little bit more serious, I would think. That actually probably was a little bit, like I did say, the flame, you know, it did throw me off. But in my honest opinion, when you come back from a magical experience, unless like you're very extremely balanced, which I do think comes from the shadow work, you're going to go through some mental growing pains after the fact. Because like even you might even have to start questioning like, all right, if I even believe what just happened, that's going to cancel out a lot of science that I've been told my whole life. And that's hard. For me, it was hard. You know, it's like, because I was like, fuck, I already been lied to about religion. I was already lied to about the OTO. And now I'm finding out I was probably lied to about fucking everything.
Are there are there any people within the OTO, do you think, that could like do that kind of stuff on command as like party trick, or is it one of those things like you're not allowed to do it in front of other people, or if you do it under like
No, I mean, they would never do that. I mean, unless you're at maybe
well, let's say you got high up and then you were like, screw this, too many rules, I'm gonna go do my own thing. Hey, check this out at a bar, like you're drunk at a bar, like check this out. Or can you even I guess that's another assumption, is that I figure in the OTO you can be like drunk and stoned and still do magic, or is it very strict about that?
I know people have gotten kicked out for showing up drunk. Well, told to leave. And they have like, I mean, the OTO in my time there, they had put out a few, you know, I guess lodge wide. Everybody got it. Like they have put out things about them, like, you know, heroin is not accepted here.
Really? Wasn't Crowley like all about heroin and mescaline when he came up with most of that?
Yeah, that's probably why they mentioned that. Because I'm like, yeah, we got everybody else. Oh, I want to be like Crowley. I'm going to shoot up too, you know, whatever. But no, they have. I'm not trying to stick up for them, but they have actually put out things like, you know, making it known that like drugs and coming here screwed up and drunk is not like going to be tolerated.
So you heard that, New York Patriot, the apologist for the OTO, official apologist.
Was sympathizing now. Yeah.
So let's
I've been called worse. Was it you? Were you in the chat when I said because I said I thought that Sound of Freedom movie was just a money grab? All I said was a Mormon money grab, and I became a sympathizer.
let's talk about that one because I didn't know that I was with a pedophile sympathizer on this show. So now I'm gonna go ahead and have everyone unfollow you. We're gonna attack your chat. So yeah, tell me what you really thought about Sound of Freedom. Like it was a money grab, really?
I mean, listen, I'm going to be totally honest with you. I could really give two shits about the movie or anything about it. But when, I see people talking about it, I was like, oh, let me just look into it. And like within like 5 minutes, I found out the guy was a Knights Templar. I found out the guy
is that also a bad thing?
Well, when you're a Mormon and a Knights Templar and you're trying to put out a movie about sex trafficking, you don't mention anything about Mormons. I mean, I just all of that together to me screams, I'm just trying to make money.
Well, I think they purposefully based the actual like bad parts outside of the US, even though they clearly could have shot the entire movie taking place in like any city, right? But they purposefully like bring it out to Colombia.
I mean, you put it this way. I mean, I think, the Trump tards and the Q tards have already been mind fucked into believing certain shit.
Those are our sponsors. Thank you very much.
Probably, yeah. So why would you not put out a movie is going to, appeal to them and give them some false hope? This is what I think is insane to me. And I'm not trying to be an asshole or sound nasty. I don't think you're going to care. I'm not saying it to you, but like, I don't understand with the conspiracy community. Just because I know something exists does not mean it's stopping. Because my neighbor might now admit, oh yeah, sex trafficking, yeah, it's real. And it's still going on. Because doesn't mean it stopped. People think that just because you read a meme on Instagram and you know something now, these bad guys have to stop doing it. No, we don't even know who the fuck they are, so they don't have to stop.
My favorite one is like, no, we're starting the conversation. We're starting a conversation.
This shit is stupid. Like just because this guy put out a movie, you think all of a sudden the Rothschilds are going to stop doing what they do? Fuck out of here. Come on, man. Grow the fuck up. The right is becoming just as childish and idiotic as the left.
Do you think the Rothschilds still have their fingers in all this?
I don't know.
I don't think they got enough money.
I mean, that's even another thing. The reason we even know who the Rothschilds are is because Ezra Pound, who was an occultist and a socialist, was a whistleblower at one point and started bringing their name up as a conspiracy. That's the only reason we have that name is because a magician who is associated with a doctor in MK Ultra told us the Rothschilds are doing whatever.
What doctor is that in MK Ultra?
I'll look him up right now.
Oh, I mean, put you on the spot. Was it like Ewan Cameron? Was it
no
Sidney Gottlieb? Was it
Sidney Gottlieb? No, it was actually somebody. It was he was at St. Elizabeth's Hospital. This doctor too. I gotta find his name. I'm gonna pull it up. He even got Ezra Pound off of treason because he was insane.
Oh, was this Jolly West?
No, MK Ultra folder. Winfred Overholzer.
That's a new name for me. I gotta say, anyone that has an MK Ultra research folder on their computer is a friend of mine.
Oh yeah, I'm actually covering it. I'm doing like a 4-part series with Thrash.
Oh, quick plug for anyone watching. This is the Paranoid American MK Ultra pamphlet available at mkultracomic.com. You can get your copy today for $5, or if it's in the future. However, inflation has been affecting us. This might be like 3 trillion US Elon dollars. We don't know yet. So
if anybody ever remembers a tract book, you should buy that just out of just for trying to reminisce from the old times.
And if you really want to reminisce, here's the Homunculus Owner's Manual, which is another version of this that breaks down the entire history of the homunculus, including the Crowley homunculus through his Moonchild book that gets into Parsons and Hubbard. Yeah, we got it all. If it has anything to do with homunculus, it's in this book 100%. Also available at paranoidamerica.com. Thank you. What a great segue about the MK Ultra. So let's talk about kissing cat anus really quick.
Yes,
so
right.
have you never heard the charge that the Knights Templar, one of their rituals was kissing the anus of a cat, a live cat?
It really is?
That was one of the charges, and apparently it was a fairly common charge that you would leverage against witches and warlocks of like the Middle Ages, is that they kissed cat butts. personally don't know why that particular theme caught on, but I've heard some really interesting theories about it, and I'm surprised. This is one of my favorite ones. Is have you ever heard of toxoplasmosis or the South Park episode where everyone's like licking cat butts? Have you ever watched a
No,
bunch of South Park?
I did watch South Park, and either I don't remember that
So,
or
so there's an episode of South Park where there's like a sick cat, and people that like sniff its farts or lick its butt, something, they start tripping out. It's like a free, hit of LSD or something. And they start passing the cat around, and then it turns into like an anti-drug ad where it's like, kids, don't do the cat, don't sniff cat butts or something. And it turns into a joke, but this was based on an actual phenomenon called toxoplasmosis, and there's certain types of felines that in their fecal matter, it's toxic to humans, and it can actually cause hallucinations and basically like an NDE, right? Or an astral projection or some sort of out-of-body psychedelic experience. So some of the theories were like they were doing it because they were sicko Satanists, and of course they're sniffing cat butts, because what else do weirdo OTO, people do? They sniff cat butts. But then the other part that I really like is that maybe they just found a way to get stoned and talk to God directly, and that became part of this like ritual where it's like, hey, take a hit, take a drag off this cat butt,
the
stop
funny thing
bogarting
is
it.
that I wouldn't put that past people. What you're saying right there, I would not put that past people. Even
Well, licking the toads, right? There's people that lick toads to do the same thing.
That's what I'm saying. I would not put that past. Yeah, I mean, I would if that has any validity to it. I put that past humans.
Would you, if someone told you that you could get higher than you've ever been in your life if you just lick this cat's butthole real quick, would you do it?
No, honestly, fucking with magic is probably the highest I've ever been in my life. So
Really? What
that
could you make it comparable to any other experience? MDMA, like fucking candy flipping? No.
probably like I don't know, just be like 100 times more intense than like any feeling you've ever had, like positive.
Is there a hangover?
Yeah, for me, yeah. That's why I do think if you fuck with it too often, too much, you start acting like Kanye West or Joe Biden.
How many of like high level ranking politicians and celebrities and stuff do you think are like just doing magic all the time?
All the time, I don't know. I from my
Well, okay,
opinion,
let me restate, like live a magical lifestyle.
I think most of them actually understand it. Just depends on how
Really?
often they do it. Yeah, I think there's probably more than half, especially in politics and music and shit like that.
What do you think about the whole Marina Abramovich and spirit cooking stuff with the Podestas and all that?
She's out there. She's actually. I really don't want to say the name of the cult, but I'm going to be
Say
covering
it.
the cult eventually.
Say it.
Valley of the Dawn, and she's
Valley
been.
of the Dawn? I've never heard of that before.
It's a UFO cult that, in my opinion, and the reason why I'm even going to. Well, there's multiple reasons, but one of the reasons why is because it's another UFO aliens.
Do you think
And
they'd sponsor this show, Valley of the Dawn? We're gonna
And
reach out.
in my opinion, I do think I can show that is the Astrum Argentum behind it.
The what?
Astrum Argentum.
Can you say that in American for me?
Argentum Astrum. No, I mean
that was pig Latin. That was pig Latin. I know my pig Latin, sir.
But that is another. I don't believe he came up with it. I think it existed prior, but that was another Crowley order. But it really is the OTO and the Golden Dawn mixed together. That is like
the Valley of the Dawn is?
No, the Astrum Argentum is like it's like if you want to be serious, and that's like a serious secret society because you're wearing hoods that actually cover your face. I got to start. I have one. I should have kept it next to the desk because I throw
How do
it
you know
on.
about this? Were you in the Astrum Argentum too?
No, but if you're in the OTO, you're gonna know what the Astrum Argentum is because it's
Okay.
Crowley's, and a lot of people who were like really serious started going into that, and I had even thought about it myself to the point to where I went out and bought a robe, thinking I was going to get into it, and I never did. So that
where do you go to get a secret society robe? Is there like a special?
Yeah, that's the whole thing. It's like when you get into these things, and this is very interesting too. It's like, you start meeting all these people that happen to might have this Etsy shop or this little Facebook thing, and like they all sell and make. You get a lot of people that actually are within it that are providing shit too.
I feel like they would probably also do a lot of cosplay costumes on Etsy. Right?
But
Are you here to join a secret society or dress up like someone from Fortnite?
right.
Like, click on this button or this button.
Well, cosplay works great for Dot Darlings.
Well, honestly, this is one of the questions that I've heard someone else ask, and I'm stealing it because I love it. But like, how much of magic and OTO, like let's say today, how much of that do you think is just LARPing versus how much of it is legit?
Most of it.
Most of it's just LARPing, just people just
People
having
who
fun.
well, when I say the word ignorant, I'm normally not really using it in a negative sense. I'm just using it in the way it's meant. They don't know. I think you have a lot of ignorant people in those things, and like the woo woo is like the magic when it's not. And I think they get stuck in that. And like and when I made that joke before, I'm not knocking her knowledge. It's just I think she knows how to sell
So
herself.
you better not. She might be a future sponsor of this show.
You know what's funny? She has dealt with more shit from the OTO than I have, and she wasn't even a member.
We're talking about Marina.
Oh no, when I said something about Dot Darling.
Oh, which one's hotter?
Well, I mean,
It wasn't a serious question.
I'm just like I'm like I really don't think either one of them are, but I mean I would say Dot Darling because I don't think
Yeah, fuck, Mary, kill, Madame Blavatsky, Hillary. No, I'm just kidding.
Blavatsky with the way she's got like 10 cigarettes hanging out of her mouth too.
But yeah, old Blavatsky too. We're not talking about like young Blavatsky.
Yeah, she stopped shaving and everything. She's probably got hairs growing off with the fucking cigar hanging out of her mouth, talking Kabbalistic shit.
If Crowley was a contemporary, would you chill with them? Would you like invite him to a party, or do you think that you would just like want to read his books and not be anywhere near him?
If he was alive today, I would talk to him if he gave me the chance.
Yeah, would you go on like climb a mountain with him?
No,
leave your ass behind.
I don't trust the guy. Wouldn't trust the person.
Wouldn't
trust him that much.
You'd probably get an STD just by being in the same room with him, I assume, right?
And that because of like I'm a fan of the guy. I mean, if I was given a chance to talk to, again, another German name that I shall not mention, I would talk to him too, just because I want to know what the fuck's going on inside these people's heads.
Do you think either of those people are like evil and
just put it that way? You know what I'm saying?
Do you think any of them or anyone else is like evil and went to hell and like that sort of I mean you can unpack that a little bit so it doesn't have to be as simple as I stated it, but do you think like a bad person does bad things, they go to hell, they get punished for eternity or for a longer period than a normal person would?
In my opinion, I think you just get recycled back into the game.
Regardless, like no matter what you did, you just pop back out.
Yeah, I mean, I even think there's probably a good chance, regardless of what you do, good or bad, you're just going to get recycled anyway. But I do think like, yeah, I think like if you kind of lived a screwed up life, you're definitely coming back and having to get something right.
All right. We're getting close to 90 minutes. I got two other questions that I want to ask specific to, I guess, being an occult reject. If there's someone that's in the OTO listening now, right, and they're on the fence and they're like, man, I want to get to that next level, level 5, but they haven't invited me, and I've got my robe picked out, but also I think this might be kind of bullshit. Like, what would be the thing that you would tell them to push them off the fence and just like give it up and have their name taken off the list?
Oh, I mean, I would. There's no reason to go there. In my opinion, I mean, it's good to have those places to learn from other people, but in my opinion, the OTO is not the image of what magic is. I think, and I don't know if it's done on purpose or not, but I think like their advertising is almost, or their look is almost like we're showing you what the handcuffs are that you need to remove to have a magical experience. And I think most people look at it the complete opposite. Leave the OTO, do some serious inventory on yourself. Learn to meditate as much as that sucks. Start learning breath work. Start practicing to be able to see colors in your eyes, and go on from there. But like, you do not need that place, in my opinion, because the magic is going to happen from you. You have to change yourself to have a magical experience. That's not my opinion. It's not a good place for that. Just leave and work on yourself. The magic happens with you, not them.
And do you think that there's like more powerful magic that like if 20 people in the OTO came together and they're all doing like the same rituals or spells or whatever, does that make it just more powerful
I
inherently?
yeah, I mean, regardless, even if it's like not the same magic that I'm talking about, and more of just putting out like a wavelength.
Mhm.
Yeah, I mean, you're gonna have more people doing the same thing. But like, even if you had like people who understood magic and maybe yeah, I just had a magical experience, I might have like energy that they can start using to start manipulating and doing things with. I think yeah, if you get 20 people like that together, it's gonna be serious. Yeah. Or it's more serious than one for sure. If they're
Man,
all on the same page.
I love talking magic with you because you talk about it in such like a matter of fact way, and it's an interesting like, dude, it's so rare to have the juxtaposition of someone that believes in magic but also doesn't like the woo woo of magic, because almost
Yeah.
everyone that likes magic, like it's the woo woo that they like about it. You know what I mean? It's like all the
I
of the
never
fun crystals and like all of the fun little dances you get to do.
see, like, in real quick, that was even one of the reasons why I ended up going with the OTO. Because, like, even when I wanted to get into this stuff, as soon as I came across Wicca and witchcraft, I was like, that shit is too woo woo for me. And there's probably like, when if you want to talk about like magic versus witchcraft or witches versus magicians, it's probably like 80-20, 70-30. The witchcraft is much more prevalent,
Oh,
right?
well, hold on. Is magic and witchcraft different?
No, but I do think, and not to be an ass, I do think that witches are probably under the idea of what magic is. Like have much more of a larger false idea. Like if I took people from like the OTO and then I went to like some witch coven, maybe there's like 10% inside my lodge that actually probably knows what magic is. And the witch coven, it's probably fucking two or three, and they're the ones running it. You know what I'm saying?
Is that because of the nature magic is
Well,
bullshit?
I think Gerald Gardner, again, who was a member of the OTO and
He
studied.
basically started Wiccans, right?
Yeah, he was sorry. Crowley was like a teacher to him, and Crowley even gave him permission to open up his own lodge. He was going to open up his own OTO lodge, and then you know what? He probably realized I probably can't sell this that good and make that much money off of it because Crowley's already got his hands in it. So I'm gonna have to start my own bullshit to bullshit people with and to make money off.
So like he was just like a
And
nature.
in that process, the people who understand magic will see your shit, go through it, and see what you're really saying and be like, ah, he's got it too. Which is what I think a lot of symbolism we're even seeing and famous people are doing is just like call signs to brag.
Okay, so more like a different flavor. It's like I want the Birkenstock version of OTO. So then you go and join like a Wiccan coven.
I mean,
Is there any group out there that you would like still like to join? You mentioned the one that you had to be on like a waiting list for 20 years or something. Are you still interested in joining any
oh,
ones like that?
I think somebody else was bringing that up when we were talking. The only other thing that I would, and I'm not really big on suggesting things. Josephine McCarthy, I think that's her name. She has like the Quaria series. It's completely free. Every PDF is up there for free. And they will probably even tell you if you look on the site, I think it will even say if you're actually going to do this, expect it to take 17 to 20 years. And
Holy
it's all free. And you do it by yourself at home. And it's very much on you just reading yourself and your own personal experiences and figuring it out. Hers, I can get by. And I've even repeatedly said, I wish sometimes I stayed with that because when I was in the OTO, I was actually very interested in that, started practicing that. And I do believe her stuff actually helped me get a lot farther. But then I was just like, the pentagram ritual and the hexagram ritual, if you get into that stuff, is completely different than what I was used to. And I was like, I'm not about to start learning another version of a ritual that I already spent a year memorizing to do with my eyes. You know what I'm saying? So I was like, this is too much. And I just stuck with the OTO. But there was times when I did wish, like, maybe if I did this, I would have continued a little bit longer and got a better experience and maybe had a better outlook on magic in a sense too. You know,
Well, I would also like to continue this and do a little bit longer and figure out some more from you. So I mean, I'll
I know
have
we're
you
gonna have
on.
a
I'll have
conversation.
you on again 100% to talk about some more of this stuff. I think it's a
Of
fascinating
course.
topic. Would you
Sure.
ever be open to summoning a demon on a live podcast, or is that out of the question?
I would if you wanted. I would be willing to do a ritual, but like a banishing one. I wouldn't invoke anything.
Let's talk about that, man. I would love to do some kind of like an
I
actual
haven't in a
ritual or
while,
something.
but I could easily push the chair out and do it. I mean, and the reason why I would do it is so people know I'm not bullshitting.
Hell yeah. No, let's definitely do that, man. That would be so cool.
I have no problem. I'll even put on the Astra Argentum hood and robe and everything.
Dude, okay. All right.
I don't know if I threw him out. I might have thrown him out. I don't think I have a wand anymore, but you know.
I think I've got like a mullet wig. That's like the closest thing I got to a robe. But yeah, maybe I can look at something, man. You'll have to send me your Etsy shop or whoever your Etsy dealer is for your secret society
gosh,
robes.
Yeah. Yo, that shit
Links in the comments.
Yo, that shit came from fucking Spain, my man. That's
pretty dope, man.
The kid who was in the Astra Argentum was making them and sent it from Spain. I had to pay $50 for shipping on that shit.
The tag said like made in China.
Yeah.
It said Spain on the box, but China on the tag. Yeah.
I'll tell you one thing. I mean, it was rather expensive, but it has weight to it. Like when I got the bag, I was like, all right, at least I know this was worth the money.
Do you think some of them are flexing? They show up with like mink coat, like robes and stuff, or like the gold trim. You know what I mean?
No, there's dudes I've seen that like literally looked like they just walked out of like Interview with a Vampire and walked straight into like the lodge. Like they got the whole like vest over the puffy and the crint, you know, like they look like fucking Tom Cruise dressed up in vampire shit, walking into the lodge. I was like, what the fuck is this?
I mean, we were saying LARPs, right? A lot of people are just LARPing.
Like, call me Azrael. I'm like, oh. Same dude telling me, you shouldn't be smoking cigarettes in front of the lodge because it might go up into the fucking windows up there. Fuck out of here.
Oh god. Okay, I'm gonna cut this off because we gotta save some for next time. Man.
Yeah, sorry.
Yes. Tell people again where to find you and listen to your work and any other projects you got going on.
I have I have the NY Patriot show, I have the Occult Rejects, and I did forget I do co-host Spiritual Gangsters. If you want to just hear a little bit more lighthearted stuff or personal stories, or just interesting things, not always occult. Spiritual Gangsters, I do co-host that with Teresa, and then I have the NY Patriot show and the Occult Rejects, and everything is on all major podcasts. They're all on YouTube. They're all on BitChute and Rumble.
All right, that's gonna conclude one more episode of the Paranoid American podcast. Name's still pending. We'll come up with a cool name because I don't like PAP. I don't like the acronym PAP for this show. Yeah, it's the first thing that I think too. You know what I mean? So it's gonna have to be something else, but we'll figure it out. So that's again. Thanks again, and what's gonna be tonight's quote? Total paranoia is total consciousness. Charles Manson. Thank you. Bye.
They said it was forbidden. They said it was dangerous. They were right. Introducing the Paranoid American Homunculus Owner's Manual. Dive into the arcane, into the hidden corners of the occult. This isn't just a comic. It's a hidden tome of supernatural power. All original artwork illustrating the groundbreaking research of Juan Ayala, one of the only living homunculologists of our time. Learn how to summon your own homunculus, an enigma wrapped in the fabric of reality itself, their power at your fingertips, their existence, your secret. Explore the mysteries of the Aristotelian, the spiritual, the Paracelsian, the Crowleyan homunculus. Ancient knowledge lost to time, now unearthed in this forbidden tale. This comic book holds truths not meant for the light of day. Knowledge that was buried, feared, and shunned. Are you ready to uncover the hidden? The Paranoid American Homunculus Owner's Manual, not for the faint of heart. Available now from Paranoid American. Get your copy at tjojp.com or paranoidamerican.com today.